Okay, so now we're going to be doing prayer as a vow, which is Genesis chapter 28 in this series of doing 650 Bible prayers. Today is day 11. So here in this chapter, we're now coming to see Jacob, where after stealing his brother's blessing, Jacob had to leave his home and his family in a hurry to escape Esau's wrath. Along the way to his relatives, Jacob had an important encounter with God. So starting at verse 1. So Isaac summoned Jacob, blessed him, and commanded him, do not marry a Canaanite girl. Go at once to Paddan Aram, to the house of Bethuel, your mother's father. Marry one of the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you so that you become an assembly of peoples. May God give you and your offspring the blessing of Abraham so that you may possess the land where you live as a foreigner, the land God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob to Paddan Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau noticed that Isaac blessed Jacob and sent him to Paddan Aram to get a wife there. When he blessed him, Isaac commanded Jacob, do not marry a Canaanite girl. And Jacob listened to his father and mother and went to Paddan Aram. Wow. Esau realized that his father Isaac disapproved of the Canaanite women. So Esau went to Ishmael and married, in addition to his other wives, Methuel, daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son. She was the sister of Nebaioth. Wow. Well, here we see that Esau rebelled. Okay, then we move on to verse 10. This is going to cover Jacob's dream. So Jacob left Bathsheba and went toward Haran. He reached a certain place and spent the night there because the sun had set. He took one of the stones from the place, put it there at his head, and lay down in that place. And a stairway was set on the ground with its top reaching the sky, and God's angels were going up and down on it. That's interesting. Let's do that again. Verse 12. And he dreamed a stairway was set on the ground with its top reaching the sky, and God's angels were going up and down on it. Is this symbolic of that song, we are climbing Jacob's ladder? It kind of seems like it. I mean, it's a stairway, but it could also symbolize a ladder. Okay, so we continue on verse 12. The Lord was standing there beside him, saying, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your offspring the land on which you are lying. Your offspring will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out toward the west, the east, the north, and the south. All the peoples of the earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. Look, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. He was afraid and said, what an awesome place this is. This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Wow. Wow. So God promised to protect and sustain Isaac with his presence. It's funny in all of this, where God promises that he will not leave Jacob, but Jacob was literally running away from all that he knew, but he couldn't outrun God. He still had to do what God planned for him. Anyway, so we move on to verse 16. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. He was afraid and said, what an awesome place this is. This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. So early in the morning, meaning during the AM time, so early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that was near his head and set it up as a marker. He poured oil on top of it and named the place Bethel, though previously the city was named Luz. Then Jacob made a vow. So here is the vow that we were speaking of. And the vow is, if God will be with me and watch over me during this journey I'm making, if he provides me with food to eat and clothing to wear, and if I return safely to my father's family, then the Lord will be my God. This stone that I have set up as a marker will be God's house, and I will give to you a tenth of all that you give me. So this is showing that tithing is necessary. And Jacob truly did trust in God after God provided, because he experienced the God that his father had known. Since God himself and his heavens had come down to the place where Jacob slept, and Jacob was, of course, in awe. So just like Abraham, which was Jacob's grandfather, had built an altar and called on the name of the Lord, so too did Jacob do the same exact thing by taking the stone that he slept on with his head and consecrating it with oil to remember what had occurred at that very spot. Much like when God tells you, do this in remembrance of me. So this is the marker was a form of remembrance. Of course, when God gives us promises, that they're not really conditional. He follows through on his word so long as you also do the actions that are necessary. So in the vow that was mentioned in verse 20, Jacob's promise of faithfulness to God was conditional. He desired to be cared for as his on his lonely journey, and to one day return safely. At the time, he didn't know anything more about God that the God that revealed himself to him, the only true God. But he was fully open to following him and obeying him. And of course, we do know that God did bring Jacob safely back to Bethel, where Jacob built an altar to him. And also remember that the tithes are a tangible way to acknowledge the Lord as his God. So that is why Jacob offered to give a tenth of what was given and provided by God back to him as a form of acknowledgement. So we see that the tenth, or the tithing, was also Abraham's gift to Melchizedek, the priest, and later was required by the Mosaic law. So it's quite interesting how everything connects and stems from way back. And you see the benefits of yielding to such laws and precepts. There is always a reward. So monuments are, a good way of remembrance, to remember our encounters with God. They're important markers for our spiritual lives. That concludes Genesis chapter 28. See you for the next chapter